Hey Dad, what's the difference between carbureted and fuel injected?
You know what? That's a great question. I'm sure a lot of people out there don't know the difference. And so let's go over some carbureted stuff and fuel injected stuff. So let's
Talk about all things air and fuel.
First of all, I guess let's start with carburetors. Now, one of the big differences between the carbureted stuff and fuel injected stuff is fuel pressure. So we'll get into that first. Now, the carbureted stuff is a low pressure fuel system, and I can show you a reason why we do that. So let's tear into this carburetor. Looks like you've done this before.
Maybe.
Maybe.
Oops.
All right. So what happens is the fuel gets pumped from the gas tank through this pump up into this bowl. Now we have a float in there and there's a little valve inside of here. And as that float goes up and down, it opens and closes the valve to allow more fuel into this, what's called a fuel bowl. Now, if we had high pressure, it would just blow that float right off the seat and we would be flooding this engine with fuel. So the other thing is, now that we have this off, we can see inside. If we want to, I'll get you to put that down there and grab the metering rods and jets. But if we look inside this carburetor, in order to adjust how much air and fuel that we have in this carburetor, we take and we can change. In this carburetor, not so much, but we'll put a picture of an Edelbrock in there. Edelbrock and Carter, same thing. Edelbrock, I think, bought the rates to Carter, but we have metering rods, but we also have jets that we can change. So these jets all have different numbers and they allow different fuel to go in. The one disadvantage of a carbureted engine is we have fixed jets. And so these fixed jets, if we're driving at sea level and we drive a mountain, our mixture of air and fuel doesn't change. So that's the advantage of fuel injected stuff. Okay, so let's just talk more about the fuel pump in here. So we have a mechanical fuel pump. Do you want to grab that old fuel pump? The mechanical one there? What we have is a camshaft, and a camshaft has a bunch of bumps on it, and that operates the valve train, but it also pushes on this little lever on the fuel pump. And what it does is it pumps the fuel up into the carburetor under a low pressure. And these bumps on the camshaft, even though this camshaft is not it's an EFI camshaft, it's old junker. Just as an example, it has bumps and this rides on there and pushes this plunger in and out. Moving from a carbureted unit to fuel injection, that was a progression that the factory used. And the one thing about it is in the first ones for electronic fuel injection, they took a unit that looked like a carburetor. I don't have a factory throttle body, but I do have some aftermarket units here. And funny to say, you know, these are failed units, which these aftermarket throttle body units aren't the best quality. There's a lot of failure rate, but they operate very similar to the carburetor. Now, they have, if you look at the bottom of this, when a cable from your foot pedal, when you hit the foot pedal, the bottom of that carburetor or throttle body opens just like a carburetor. The only difference is there is a computer that is actually inside these units that control fuel injectors. Can you grab me that injector down there? Now this isn't the type, it isn't the fuel injector out of these, but they have little fuel injectors. What happens with this unit is we have way higher pressure in these units. And I'm talking carbureted is, you know, maybe maximum 9, like 3 to 9 PSI to keep a carburetor full of fuel. Well, in this, we don't have a bowl that holds fuel. We have a high pressure system that pushes fuel against the top of this. And we have electric pumps, mainly electric pumps. And these electric pumps go inside the fuel tank. So when you turn the key on, it charges the fuel system. Then we have different types of regulators that regulate it to the proper pressure for the actual injector, what we need for operating ranges. The regulators can work differently. Not going to get into detail on that, but we can have regulators that hold steady pressure. We also have regulators that vary pressure based on vacuum and boost situations in an engine. So in the fuel injected pressure that we're talking about, we could be anywhere from common is between 40 and 60 PSI. That's your static running, naturally aspirated engine. And so this was the first progression. We had air and fuel being mixed in a unit, just like on this carbureted unit. And what that did is it gave us what's called a wet manifold. So a wet manifold, the intake manifold, we have a mixture of air and fuel going into the engine, and it is actually being vaporized in the intake manifold. Whereas when we went from carburetors and throttle bodies, we went to, now this is an extremely dirty old unit, we went to a multi-port fuel injection. Huge advantage to that. In these, we have 4 injectors feeding, say, 8 cylinders. It's just throwing the fuel into that intake. It's vaporizing it. It's totally fine. The one advantage of that high pressure, we actually, as the fuel goes through the injection system, it atomizes it. So why do we care about vaporization and atomization? Well, we end up mixing that air and fuel really well. So when it goes into the engine, it burns very efficiently. So in this unit, we have a dry manifold. There is no fuel being injected into the top of this manifold. The fuel injector lives in a fuel rail. So this is full of fuel. It pressurizes these injectors, and this injector actually sprays right at the back of the intake valve just before it opens, so that we have that atomized fuel being vaporized on the valve. So when the valve opens, we have an awesomely mixed air-fuel charge to go in and burn.
So I think we should talk about drive-by cable and drive-by wire. So if you think of pushing your gas pedal, on this style, you will have wire all the way from your gas pedal up to here. So this is controlled by the cable. Yeah,
it's actually a cable that runs up. And this is kind of old school stuff. So carry on.
And so you'll also see that on these here. It's the same concept. And
yeah, so let's just take a look. I want you to do that again, Marie, okay? So when she puts the foot down, a cable pulls that and opens those blades. Now the difference between this and a carburetor is it actually has a sensor on the side. And that sensor is called the throttle position sensor. And all it's doing is telling the computer where the throttle position is. Okay?
There's also, this one was also a cable one, but the newer ones are now wire.
Yeah.
So then you have a pedal like this, and it's just a sensor. So when you push it, it's not actually a cable. I need my foot. This is hard to push.
Yeah, they build those with a big spring end, so it still feels like you're pushing something. But when you push that pedal, what's happening is, this is an aftermarket computer, put lots of these in. There are a whole bunch of wires that go to this ECU, and that talks to this, which then tells this how to operate and the injectors all how to run. So there is one more fuel injection that is one of the newer styles that this pedal belongs to, and let's go take a look at that. This is the newest style of fuel injection that we're running across a whole bunch nowadays. Now, let's back up a little bit. You played with the gas pedal that runs this system. Now, the fuel injection system besides, let's just talk about that throttle. How does it actually work? We have a computer that sees a signal from the gas pedal, it makes a decision, and then it has to do something. What does it actually do on this throttle?
So on this one, it's a little motor that opens the throttle blades.
Yeah, so the computer sees what's supposed to happen, makes a decision, and tells that motor how to open. We have it taped off so that it doesn't get all dirty in there. But what we have in this engine, this is an LT engine. And so what it is it is what's called a direct injected engine. And it runs under way higher pressure. It's similar to how a diesel runs, because we looked at a wet intake manifold where the air and fuel went into the intake. Then we looked at the next one where the injector, like this, sprayed at a closed valve from the outside of the cylinder. On a direct injected engine, just like in a diesel, the injector actually is inside the cylinder. It lives in the same spot as a spark plug. And so when we put fuel into there, because we have high cylinder pressures, the pressure in the cylinder is immense. We need to overcome that pressure. So in this car, we have fuel pumps in the back that pump fuel into a fuel rail. Well, it's not actually a fuel rail, a fuel pipe that goes to, again, a camshaft driven pump. But that camshaft driven pump is very extremely high pressure. I'm not even sure what the pressure is in this, but in diesel engines, it's like in the 20, 30,000, maybe even 50,000 PSI range. I'd have to look up the specs for that, but very, very high, because we have to overcome the cylinder pressure to actually inject fuel into that high pressure environment. So we don't have these lower pressure injectors. We have injectors that go right into the cylinder and burst fuel in at high pressure, which makes things a little bit different, because normally on those engines, we are trying to target a certain air-fuel ratio, which is called stoichiometric, which just means that we need the right mix of air and fuel for an engine to run. Whereas if we directly inject the fuel into the cylinder here, we can play with that mixture. So when we do that, we can change how power comes in. But the most important reason that that was invented is so that we could manipulate the air-fuel ratio and we could get better fuel economy. So that was the start of this. But guess what? Anytime that we're told that we have to do something a certain way, we figure out how to make power with it. We covered a whole bunch of ground today, different systems, different things. I'm sure that there are more out there that you can feel free to let us know what's going on with those. But, you know, a lot of this stuff you're going to see on the road today. There's lots of vehicles with all of these variations. What are some things that you learned today?
Well, I learned about the drive-by-wire more so, because we've done a bit of drive-by-cable.
Yeah, lots of it.
Yeah. So drive-by-wire I thought was quite interesting to learn a little more detail about that. Mm-hmm. And then with this car, I didn't know really anything about the way that this one works.
Yeah, it's new technology. It's great. I like tweaking it. This is, I don't know, fun OCD kind of stuff that happens in these, and not a whole bunch of people understand what's going on inside them.
Yeah, it's pretty neat. Mm-hmm. And take a look under your hood and see if you can figure out what you have. And if you're not sure, you can send us some questions in the comments and we'll try and help you figure that out.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to help you figure out what's going on under the hood of your car. If you don't mind, please like, share, and
subscribe.